Red carpet icons have staggered up those glittering stairs with hundreds of extra pounds pressing on their lungs, smiling for cameras while silently fighting for air. They carried the weight and the shame in front of the entire world. And still, they refuse to let it bury them. You don't get called fat and just forget it. That word doesn't fade. It brands you. It clings like a bruise you can't scrub off, especially when you're broke, squeezed into clothes that never fit, and treated like the punchline to someone else's joke. But here's the part nobody says out loud. Obesity isn't just cruel to your confidence, it can be fatal to your body. It has stolen breath from superstars mid-performance, buckled knees beneath million-dollar gowns, dragged legends from standing ovations to hospital rooms. Tonight, I'm exposing the truth about 25 black celebrities who didn't just glow up. They fought for their lives. They outran diabetes, heart failure, public humiliation, and in some cases, death itself. If you want the stories they never dared to tell on the red carpet, subscribe right now. Because behind every stunning transformation photo, there's a battle far darker than anyone ever posted. Gabourey Sidibe, the body that carried fame, the body that carried fear. When Precious exploded onto the screen, Gabourey Sidibe became a symbol. Bold, fearless, unapologetic. She wasn't Hollywood's standard. She was bigger than it, and she owned it. But fame doesn't silence biology. Behind the applause, her body was sending quiet distress signals. By 2016, the weight had climbed into dangerous territory. Mornings felt like punishment. Her legs tingled and went numb. Standing too long made her vision blur. Climbing a short flight of stairs felt like summiting Everest. Her heart didn't just beat, it pounded like it was negotiating for time. Then came the diagnosis, type 2 diabetes. Not a rumor, not body-shaming headlines. A medical line in black ink that meant one thing: this could end badly. For the first time, the fearless girl from Brooklyn felt fear. Not of critics, not of casting calls, but of dying quietly in her own apartment. She chose gastric bypass surgery, not because Hollywood demanded it, but because her pancreas did. Because her future did. But surgery doesn't erase hunger. It rewires it. After the procedure, every bite became a test. Eat too much? Violent nausea. Eat too fast? Sharp pain. Her body shrank quickly, almost violently. Skin loosened. Energy fluctuated. Some days she didn't recognize the woman in the mirror. Smaller, yes, but also vulnerable, stripped down. The real fight wasn't physical. It was mental. Food had once been comfort, celebration. Now it was math, measurement, consequence. There were nights she lay awake, stomach tight, mind louder than ever. Was this worth it? Who am I now? But here's what people misunderstand about Gabourey. She has always been disciplined beneath the humor. She built new rituals. Therapy, movement, portion control, accountability. No dramatic social media countdown. No performance. Just quiet, relentless adjustment. And slowly, something shifted. Her blood sugar stabilized. Her breath steadied. Her stamina returned. She lost over 60 kilos, but what she really reclaimed was agency. Gabourey Sidibe didn't shrink to fit Hollywood. She fought so she could outlive it. And that's not transformation. That's survival with intention. Star Jones didn't lose weight for a dress. She lost it because her body was starting to sound like a warning siren. Early 2000s, America saw the smile, the sharp tongue, the polished TV queen. But off camera, her reality was heavier than any spotlight. The scale climbed until it felt unreal, around 120 kilos, and her life began shrinking. Feet swollen so badly she couldn't fit her shoes. Breath turning into a fight. Standing too long and her heart would slam like it wanted out. Then came the moment that changes people. A live taping, a sudden spike, her vision folding in, almost fainting on the job. Doctors didn't sugarcoat it. Diabetes. Heart failure. A countdown nobody could see. So in 2003, she made a decision that felt like walking into war: gastric bypass. Not a makeover. A piece of her body, for a chance to stay alive. But the surgery didn't save her for free. It demanded payment every day. Hunger still screamed in her mind while her new stomach punished her for listening. Eat wrong, vomit. Eat too fast, agony. The weight dropped so fast her skin sagged like evidence. Hair coming out in clumps. Nails cracking. Some days she sat still for hours, too weak to stand, staring at a mirror that reflected a stranger, frail, scared, and furious. And that's where Star did the impossible. She refused to let survival be her only win. While the world slept, she trained. When her body begged for mercy, she answered with one more rep, one more step, one more minute on the treadmill. Like each collapse was death tapping her shoulder, and she was swatting its hand away. Near zero sugar. No comfort. No excuses. Just willpower and pain. In a little over 6 months, she dropped nearly 73 kilos. People applauded the transformation, but the real miracle was quieter. She could breathe again. Walk again. Live again. Star Jones didn't just lose weight. She resurrected herself, and proved that sometimes the most powerful glow-up is simply getting your life back. Randy Jackson, Diagnosis Day. The day Randy Jackson heard the word diabetes, the room felt smaller. Not metaphorically. Physically. Walls closer. Because type 2 diabetes isn't a suggestion. It's a clock. 4 years, Randy had been the cool, steady presence on American Idol. The guy with the catchphrases. The industry veteran who seemed untouchable. But off-camera, his weight had climbed past safe limits. Fatigue followed him everywhere. Dizziness. Sugar crashes. Blurred focus. He ignored it until he couldn't. In 2003, doctors laid it out plainly. Kidney failure. So, heart attack. Pick one, or change everything. This wasn't about red carpets. It wasn't about looking better on HD television. It was about whether he'd be alive in 5 years. He chose surgery. Gastric bypass is often framed as a shortcut. For Randy, it was a reset button that came with consequences. The recovery was brutal. His body didn't recognize its own new limits. Hunger without capacity. Cravings without relief. Weakness that made simple tasks feel like labor. But surgery alone doesn't reverse diabetes. Discipline does. He rebuilt his life like a system engineer. Every meal measured. Carbs monitored like currency. Sugar treated like a threat. He trained even when energy dipped. Walked when running felt impossible. Lifted light before lifting heavy. Some days he left the gym shaking, not from pride, but from blood sugar fluctuation. And the cravings? They didn't vanish. They negotiated. They whispered. But Randy learned something powerful. Control isn't loud. It's repetitive. Weeks became months. Months became years. The scale dropped, over 52 kilos gone. But more importantly, his blood markers stabilized. His diabetes came under control. His breathing eased. His stamina returned. He didn't celebrate with a feast. He celebrated with lab results. Randy Jackson didn't just lose weight. He outran a ticking clock and proved that survival isn't dramatic. It's daily. Timbaland, the night the beat went silent. At the height of his power, Timbaland didn't just produce music. He controlled the rhythm of a generation. Clubs moved when he said move. Radios bent to his beats. From the outside, he was untouchable. But pressure doesn't knock politely. It seeps in. Behind platinum plaques and global tours, insomnia crept in first. Then anxiety. Then pills, prescribed at first. OxyContin to sleep. To numb. To quiet the noise of expectation. And while the addiction tightened its grip, his body changed too. Late nights. Emotional eating. Zero structure. The weight climbed steadily, until his reflection looked heavier than the man inside it. Then came the night that shook everything. Shortness of breath. Chest tightening. A panic that felt like the floor disappearing beneath him. Emergency room lights are different when you're famous. They don't care about your hits. Doctors didn't sugarcoat it. The pills were wrecking him. The weight wasn't helping. Keep going like this, and the next visit might not end the same. That was the moment the beat stopped. Rehab wasn't glamorous. No entourage. No applause. Just sweat, tremors, cravings that clawed at his mind. Detox stripped him raw. The drugs didn't leave quietly. So did his own thoughts. But he stayed. When the addiction fog finally lifted, he faced the second enemy, obesity. And this one required daily discipline. No sugar. No late-night binges. High-intensity training when his body felt like it was made of lead. Mornings started with aching joints. Nights ended with hunger gnawing at his willpower. He wasn't crafting hits, he was rebuilding muscle. Rebuilding lungs. Rebuilding identity. Over time, nearly 59 kilos came off. But what truly dropped was the dependence. The haze. The self-destruction. When Timbaland returned to the studio, he wasn't just lighter. He was clear. Clear mind. Clear pulse. Clear purpose. He didn't just lose weight. He broke addiction, rebuilt discipline, and proved that even a king of sound can fall, and still rise louder than before. Al Roker, the smile that hid the storm. Every morning, America woke up to Al Roker's smile. Bright. Effortless. He delivered the forecast like nothing in the world could shake him. But off camera, his body was forecasting something far darker. By the early 2000s, Al's weight had climbed into dangerous territory. His suit still fit the screen, but barely. Behind the polished appearance were swollen ankles, rising blood pressure, and exhaustion that followed him home long after the cameras shut off. Then came the crack in the armor. During a live broadcast, dizziness hit him like a wave. His chest tightened. His breath shortened. For a split second, the world blurred under studio lights. He held it together, professionals always do, but inside, something snapped. Later, doctors didn't soften it. Keep going like this, and a stroke could strike without warning. The most terrifying moments didn't happen on TV. They happened at 3 a.m. Waking up suddenly, heart racing, wondering if that strange pressure in his chest was the beginning of the end. That's when the decision became unavoidable. In 2002, Al chose gastric bypass surgery. Not for vanity, not for ratings, for survival. But surgery is only a doorway. What waits on the other side is work. The first weeks were humbling. Small portions, constant adjustments, weakness that made walking feel like effort, hunger that lingered even when he physically couldn't eat more. So he started small. Short walks turned into longer ones. Low-carb meals replaced comfort food. Consistency replaced chaos. He didn't transform overnight. He rebuilt himself in motion, step by step, mile by mile. Over time, the numbers changed. Nearly 45 kilos gone. But what mattered wasn't the scale. It was climbing stairs without stopping, sleeping through the night without fear, laughing on live TV without wondering if his heart would betray him. Al Roker didn't just lose weight. He stabilized the storm inside his own body. And the smile America sees now? It's lighter, because it's not hiding fear anymore. Kelly Price, when the voice couldn't breathe. The spotlight loved Kelly Price. When she stepped onto a stage, the room shifted. That voice, rich, thunderous, impossible to ignore, could shake rafters and soften hearts in the same breath. But there was a night the audience didn't notice. Mid-song, under blazing lights, Kelly felt it. Not stage fright. Not emotion. Or rather, the lack of it. Her chest tightened. The high note demanded breath her lungs couldn't give. By the final chorus, her legs felt like concrete. She smiled through it. Professionals always do. But backstage, she collapsed into a chair, gasping. The truth was unavoidable. Her body was struggling to carry the gift. Years of unmanaged weight had built quietly. Joint pain, swelling, fatigue that no amount of sleep fixed. Each performance became a gamble. Would she finish strong, or barely finish at all? Doctors warned her gently at first, then directly. If nothing changes, something will break. And for a singer, break is a terrifying word. One night, alone in her room, she stood in front of a mirror longer than usual. Not criticizing, not crying, just staring. She didn't see a superstar. She saw someone tired of fighting gravity. The shift wasn't dramatic. No viral announcement. No surgery. Just decisions. Sugar gone. Fried food gone. Late night comfort eating gone. The first weeks were brutal. Cravings hit hard, especially after long rehearsals. The treadmill felt like punishment. Knees protested. Sweat poured. Some workouts ended in tears. But something inside her had changed. This wasn't about shrinking for cameras. It was about sustaining the voice. Months passed. The weight began to fall, slowly, then steadily. Nearly 45 kilos gone. But the bigger victory? Breath control returned. Stamina rebuilt. Pain eased. The first time she powered through an entire set without gasping, she knew she had done more than lose weight. She had reclaimed her instrument. Kelly Price didn't just transform her body. She saved the sound that made her who she is. And sometimes, survival isn't about living longer. It's about being able to sing again. The moment her child looked back, Monique had always owned every room she walked into. Oscar winner, comedic force, fearless presence. But one quiet evening at home, something unsettled her. She was playing with her child when she felt it, exhaustion that went deeper than a long day. Her body felt heavy, not powerful, not commanding, just tired. And then came the thought that changed everything. What if I'm not here long enough to see them grow? It wasn't about Hollywood. It wasn't about critics. It was about legacy. The next morning, she started small. Cleaner meals, fewer carbs, more movement. Then training sessions that left her drenched in sweat, muscles trembling. Some days she could barely make it down the stairs after a workout. But she kept showing up. Over months, more than 36 kilos disappeared. What returned was energy, clarity, longevity. And Monique didn't shrink for an image. She transformed so she could stay. Jennifer Hudson, after the applause faded. 800 KY2 Ka Truck Cock. Postpartum shift, self-doubt, structured discipline, quiet confidence. Jennifer Hudson had already conquered the world. Oscars, Grammys, standing ovations that shook arenas. But after giving birth, the silence at home felt louder than any applause. Her body had changed. Rapidly. Unexpectedly. Costumes fit differently. Energy dipped. Long rehearsals left her back aching, her confidence quietly eroding. Cameras felt less forgiving. Mirrors felt harsher. This wasn't about vanity. It was about control. She chose structure over shame. Joined Weight Watchers. Tracked meals. Measured portions. No crash tactics. No dramatic surgery. Just discipline. Daily, repetitive, unglamorous. Cravings didn't vanish. Some nights she wanted comfort food more than motivation. Some mornings the gym felt impossible. But she showed up anyway. Workout by workout. Choice by choice. Over time, more than 36 kilos were gone. What replaced them wasn't just a smaller figure. It was steadiness. Jennifer Hudson didn't chase thinness. She rebuilt balance and stepped back into the spotlight on her own terms. Janet Jackson, 50, a baby and the clock. At 50, most artists slow down. Janet Jackson gave birth. Motherhood rewrote her world overnight, but it also rewrote her body. The weight gain wasn't subtle. Energy dipped. Recovery was slower. And looming ahead was a global tour that wouldn't wait for anyone, not even a legend. Time became the real opponent. She didn't have years. 2 months. With her trainer, Janet built a war plan. Early mornings. Strength training. High-intensity intervals. Controlled portions. Carbs reduced. Protein increased. No emotional eating. No excuses. Some sessions ended with her muscles shaking. Some nights she fell into bed completely drained. Progress wasn't linear. Some weeks the scale barely moved. But she did. 6 months later, over 30 kilos were gone. When she stepped back on stage, it wasn't just nostalgia that roared through the arena. It was proof. Janet didn't fight aging. She fought surrender and won. Missy Elliott, the illness that changed the mirror. Missy Elliott had always controlled the rhythm. But when Graves' disease entered her life, control disappeared. The autoimmune disorder attacked quietly. Sudden fatigue. Heart palpitations. Weight fluctuations that didn't make sense. Some days she felt wired and weak at the same time. Other days, simply getting out of bed felt like pushing through fog. It wasn't just physical. It was disorienting. Her body no longer responded the way it used to. Energy crashed. Muscles weakened. Confidence wavered. For someone known for sharp movement and commanding presence, that loss of stability was terrifying. Doctors explained the condition. Treatment would help, but lifestyle had to change too. So Missy adapted. She cut sugar, reduced processed carbs, focused on hydration and clean protein. Gentle workouts first, walking, controlled cardio, then gradually building strength again. No crash extremes. Just consistency aligned with managing her illness. Progress wasn't flashy. It was medical, measured, intentional. Over time, she dropped more than 30 kilos, but more importantly, she stabilized her health. Energy returned. Skin brightened. Her movements regained confidence. Missy Elliott didn't chase a trend. She learned her body's new language and mastered it. Chrisette Michele, the day she didn't recognize herself, there was no diagnosis, no public scare, no emergency room, just a mirror. Chrisette Michele had built her career on soul, a voice thick with emotion, vulnerability, and control. But one quiet morning, staring at her reflection, she felt disconnected from the woman looking back. Fatigue had become normal. Mood swings sharper. Skin dull. Energy inconsistent. She wasn't just heavier. She felt off balance, physically and emotionally. That realization cut deeper than any headline ever could. Instead of chasing a quick fix, she chose a reset. She transitioned to a plant-based lifestyle. Cut processed foods. Eliminated excess sugar and grease. Began practicing yoga, slow, intentional movement instead of punishment workouts. The first weeks were uncomfortable. Cravings surged. Energy dipped before it stabilized. There were days she questioned whether change was worth the discomfort, but she stayed with it. Yoga sessions turned into moments of clarity. Clean eating became routine instead of restriction. Her body slowly recalibrated. Over time, she lost around 27 kilos. But the number wasn't the headline. What returned was glow. Emotional steadiness. Chrisette Michele didn't just slim down. She realigned, body and spirit moving in the same direction again. Aretha Franklin, the weight that wasn't meant to be lost. For decades, Aretha Franklin's presence was powerful. Her voice filled cathedrals, stadiums, history itself. Then something changed. Fans began noticing it quietly at first. Photographs where her frame looked smaller, dresses hanging looser, cheekbones sharper. The transformation didn't look intentional. It looked sudden. Speculation spread. Diet? Personal choice? The truth was harsher. Behind closed doors, Aretha was battling a severe illness. Her weight wasn't dropping from discipline, it was being taken by disease. Stage by stage, pancreatic cancer weakened her body. Energy faded. Appetite shrank. Strength dissolved. Yet she continued appearing in public, wrapped in elegant gowns, protecting her dignity. She didn't narrate her suffering. She carried it. The once commanding figure who stood unshaken before presidents and royalty was now fighting something invisible and ruthless. Her weight fell dramatically in her final year, not as a victory, but as evidence of the war inside her. When she passed in 2018, the world mourned a legend. Aretha Franklin didn't choose transformation. She endured it. And even as her body weakened, her legacy remained immovable. A reminder that not every weight loss story is triumph. Some are sacrifice. Chadwick Boseman, the hero no one saw fading. To the world, Chadwick Boseman was unbreakable. Black Panther. King. Warrior. Strength embodied. But while audiences celebrated Wakanda forever, Chadwick was quietly fighting colon cancer. For 4 years, surgeries and chemotherapy drained his body behind closed doors. His weight dropped dramatically. His frame grew thinner. Fans questioned photos. Few imagined the truth. He kept filming, kept smiling, kept showing up. There was no public complaint, no press conference, just discipline and dignity. When he passed in 2020, the shock was global. The strongest man on screen had been battling alone. Chadwick didn't lose weight for a role. He was fighting for time. Charlie Murphy, the laughter that grew quieter. Charlie Murphy was volume. Sharp stories. Big energy. A presence that filled every stage he stepped onto. But behind the laughter, leukemia was quietly rewriting his body. Treatments drained him. Chemotherapy thinned not just his hair, but his strength. The once solid frame fans recognized began to narrow. Nearly 25 kilos gone, not by choice, but by survival. Public appearances became rarer. His face looked leaner, eyes more tired. Still, he didn't turn his fight into spectacle. He endured it privately, with the same grit that fueled his comedy. When he passed in 2017, the silence felt heavier than any punchline. Charlie Murphy didn't fade from lack of fire. He was fighting a battle laughter couldn't win. Bernie Mac, breath became the enemy. Bernie Mac commanded rooms with confidence. Bold voice. Big presence. Unshakable charisma. But off stage, something as simple as breathing began to betray him. Sarcoidosis, a chronic lung disease, slowly tightened its grip. Coughing fits. Shortness of breath. Energy draining faster each month. His once solid frame grew leaner, nearly 20 kilos gone as illness consumed strength. On camera he still smiled. Still delivered. Backstage he struggled for air. Hospital visits became more frequent. Oxygen more precious. In 2008, complications took him at just 50. Bernie Mac didn't lose weight chasing health. He was losing a fight for every breath. And the world didn't realize how hard he was fighting. Jordan Sparks, the slow burn after motherhood. 500 KY2 Kaw Truck Cock. Identity shift, discipline without shortcuts, gradual reclaiming. Jordan Sparks had already proven herself. Youngest American Idol winner, powerhouse vocals, effortless presence. Then motherhood changed everything. Her body felt unfamiliar. Energy dipped. Confidence wavered under the weight she carried postpartum. There was no medical emergency, just the quiet discomfort of not feeling at home in her own skin. She chose the long road. No surgery. No crash diets. Just structured workouts, cleaner meals, and consistency when motivation was low. Early morning walks. Strength training. Portion control. Repetition. The weight didn't fall overnight. Nearly 23 kilos disappeared over time, earned, not rushed. More importantly, her stamina returned. Her posture shifted. Her confidence steadied. Jordan didn't fight her body. She worked with it and slowly reclaimed it. Tiffany Haddish, breaking more than weight. Tiffany Haddish built her brand on chaos and charisma. But fearless. Unfiltered. But off stage, her habits were quieter and heavier. Late night eating. Smoking. Inconsistent sleep. The lifestyle that fueled her grind was draining her body. She felt sluggish. Foggy. Slower than the woman audiences expected. So she gave herself a challenge, 30 days. 30 days of clean eating. Daily workouts. No cigarettes. No junk food. No excuses. The first week was brutal. Cravings hit hard. Muscles ached. Old routines tempted her back. She almost quit more than once. But 30 days turned into 3 months. Nearly 23 kilos gone. Smoking gone. Energy back. Tiffany didn't just drop weight. She broke patterns. And that transformation lasted longer than any punchline. Selena Johnson, sisters in the fire. Selena Johnson didn't start alone. One honest conversation with her sisters changed everything. They were all exhausted. All heavier. All pretending it was fine. So they made a pact. Clean meals. Group workouts. No quitting on each other. The cravings were real. The soreness constant. But accountability is powerful. In 3 months, Selena dropped around 23 kilos. And together, the sisters burned over 50. It wasn't just weight lost. It was weakness shared. And strength rebuilt as a team. Fantasia Barrino. When the stage felt heavier, Fantasia's voice was still powerful. But her body wasn't keeping up. Long rehearsals left her winded. Knees aching. Confidence slipping between performances. She feared the stage she once owned was slowly outrunning her stamina. So she reset. No extremes. Just discipline. Cleaner meals. Structured workouts. Consistency over comfort. 3 intense months later, nearly 23 kilos were gone. More importantly, the fire returned. Fantasia didn't lose weight for applause. She did it so when the curtain rose. She could rise with it. 50 Cent, starving for the role. For All Things Fall Apart, 50 Cent didn't rely on makeup. He transformed. To play a terminal cancer patient, he stripped his body down with an extreme liquid diet and daily long-distance runs. The weight fell fast, around 22 kilos gone in months. His once muscular frame became fragile. Cheeks hollow. Energy depleted. It wasn't about health. It was about authenticity. Filming ended, but recovery became the next battle. Rebuilding muscle. Restoring balance. Repairing what rapid loss had taken. 50 Cent didn't lose weight to survive. He lost it to tell a story, and paid the price in flesh. Anthony Anderson, the warning he couldn't ignore. Anthony Anderson had built a thriving career, but his body was issuing quiet ultimatums. Type 2 diabetes changed everything. Fatigue. Blood sugar swings. The looming threat of heart complications. Doctors were clear. Without change, the consequences wouldn't be temporary. So Anthony chose structure over denial. Low-carb meals. Portion control. Regular workouts, even on days when energy dipped. It wasn't dramatic. It was disciplined. Over time, more than 20 kilos came off. More importantly, his diabetes stabilized. Anthony didn't chase a headline transformation. He built control and kept it. DMX, the weight addiction took. DMX's voice was raw power, but addiction is quieter and more patient. Over the years, substance abuse eroded his body. Weight dropped not from discipline, but from damage. His once strong frame thinned. Energy faded. Eyes grew hollow. Nearly 15 to 20 kilos disappeared as drugs took more than just control. They took stability. There were attempts at rehab, moments of clarity. But addiction doesn't release easily. In 2021, a drug-related heart attack ended the fight. DMX didn't lose weight chasing health. It was taken from him, piece by piece. Stuart Scott, still showing up. Stuart Scott was energy on screen. Unshaken. But after being diagnosed with a rare appendix cancer, his body began changing under the weight of treatment. Chemotherapy drained him. Surgeries weakened him. Around 15 to 20 kilos vanished as the fight intensified. Yet he kept showing up. On camera he smiled, delivered highlights, inspired millions, even as fatigue lined his face and strength faded backstage. He once said, "You beat cancer by how you live." In 2015, he passed. Stuart Scott didn't retreat from the spotlight. He stood in it until he couldn't anymore. T-Boz, strength between the pain. Tyan T-Boz Watkins of TLC lived with something most fans couldn't see: sickle cell anemia. The condition brought sudden pain crises, hospital stays, and periods where her body felt unbearably weak. During flare-ups, appetite disappeared. Weight dropped. Energy drained. Strength felt borrowed. Yet when the music started, she performed. Touring while managing chronic illness meant pushing through exhaustion most people would never understand. Some days were controlled. Others were survival. Her weight fluctuations weren't cosmetic. They were medical. T-Boz didn't battle for headlines. She battled to function. And kept singing anyway. Oprah Winfrey, the weight of expectation. Oprah Winfrey's journey wasn't driven by disease. It was driven by expectation. For decades, her weight rose and fell under relentless public scrutiny. Every pound discussed. Every fluctuation analyzed. The pressure wasn't just physical, it was psychological. She tried structured programs, discipline, even weight loss medication at one point. But the deeper battle wasn't the scale. It was self-acceptance. Oprah eventually shifted the focus from rapid results to sustainable balance, nutrition, movement, and mental clarity over extremes. Around 18 to 20 kilos gone over time. But her real victory? Separating her worth from her weight. Oprah didn't just change her body. She changed the conversation. These 25 stories prove something powerful. Transformation isn't about vanity. It's about survival. It's about choosing life when your body feels like it's betraying you. It's about discipline when no one is clapping. So which story hit you the hardest? Comment below and share your thoughts. And if you believe the real glow-up is staying alive and rising stronger, subscribe, because behind Hollywood's shine, there's always a story you haven't heard yet.